Before we become civilized, we used to be barbarians. Barbarians are the children of nature, amoral, full of vitality, someone you cannot reason with. Then slowly, we started entering into the era of rationality and with that, the era of techne. With reason and technology, we created weapons and we defeated those barbarians. And finally, we created our modern world. After several hundred years of civilization and culture, there is a very interesting phenomenon to be noticed. There arise a very strange type of people, artificial barbarians. Barbarians who are not the product of nature, but barbarians who are product of society. Those people, those super civilized people who has become so civilized, who has become so sophisticated, they have seen the culture and its moral fabric with such a keen, poignant eyes that they have outgrown it. The pre-societal barbarians were threat to man and reason on a physical level. These hybrid, artificial, post-societal barbarians are threat to man and reason on the metaphysical and mental level. Today, I am going to talk about one of my favorite barbarians, philosopher Max Stirner. Max Stirner wrote his book Ego on its Own, or in other words, Unique and its Property, in Germany. I will briefly discuss about few topics about his book, and then we will talk about Max Stirner's impact on society and philosophy in general. In his book Ego on its Own, Max Stirner divides man's life into three important phases: the child, the youth, and the man. First, he says, when we are born, we are in confusion. We are trying to get hold of ourselves outside of this worldly mixture which we are born inside, which is constantly make us stumble here and there. All we are trying to do as a child is to find our stand, something solid to stand upon, mentally. He says, all kids are by default a curious creature. They are always trying to look behind all the things. That's why children break things, break their toys, because what they are interested in is the construction of how the world is created. Child realizes that all things, all people care for themselves. Everyone cares for themselves, and there are so many of things and people in this world in a limited time and space. There has to be conflict, because everyone is self-centered and everyone is together in one existence. When we are kids, our freedom is constantly restricted. You can't do this, you cannot do that, you cannot go there, you cannot see this, you cannot be that. This constant restriction of our freedom, because children are afraid of father's stern look or the rod of its teacher. This mysterious power stands above his head and he is always afraid of it. Children become stubborn. They understand that either their stubbornness can win or the mysterious power of the rod. Now the war begins between the stubbornness of their mind and the mysterious power of punishment. The more they break things, the more they see behind the things, they outgrow punishment. They realize that his father, his teacher, are no more powerful than him. He realizes a hidden mind lying behind all the powers. And he tries to acquaint herself with that mind. If he does that properly, he becomes reasonable. Now the kid is no longer afraid of punishment. He finds that his stubbornness, his shrewdness is more powerful than punishment. And what is our stubbornness and shrewdness but our mind? The kid enters in the stage of youth when he first time uncovers the mystery of the world, the ghost of the world that is, the first times he uncovers it, and he makes it little bit understandable, accessible to his psyche. Now he enters in the stage of youth. Mind becomes our first discovery, the undeification of the ghost. The kids stare at this mysterious world with awe and reverence. Youth uncovers the first layer of this mystery and he enters into the life of mind. The youth realizes when he enters and discovers his mind and starts playing with ideas, up until then he hasn't seen the world at all. he was just staring at it as a kid. The first time the youth realizes that he can see the world with concepts. He no longer stares at it in mystery, awe and wonder and fear, but with his stubbornness and with his shrewdness of his mind, he can see the world in a conceptual way. He discovers the new way of looking at the world, no longer staring at it, but seeing it. Children was trying to get hold of things by literally grasping at things, while youth understand that if in order to get hold of himself and get hold of his world, he doesn't grasp as object and things. He starts grasping the ideas hiding behind those things. When he was kid, he was opposed by everything through objects. He was obedient to the laws of the world. Now, when he becomes youth, an intellectual, a rational man, he surrenders to the laws of reason and science. Youth becomes the prisoner of his own conscience, which is nothing but the mind borrowed from society. He doesn't do irrational things. When he tries to do something impossible, his mind tells to him, this is irrational, this is unscientific, this is not proven by data and facts. Now no longer objects are objecting his free will, but the laws of mind. Youth runs after thoughts and follows its ideological commands. Just like before, the kid was running after things and was following the commands of his teacher and his parents. It's not like children do not think. Children also think, but their thoughts are not objectless. Children only think about objects, while in youth, objects take a second place and the thoughts become more essential. Youth can elevate his mind beyond objects and think in an abstract manner. This new power he has discovered about the abstraction, he can abstract the entire world in his mind and he can leave the physical world behind. This new power fascinates the youth. To live in his own abstract world of his own ideas and ideology is delight of youth, is privilege of youth. Max Steiner says, spirit wants to expand its dominion. When spirit was acting as a kid, it wanted to expand the dominion in the sphere of objects. Now spirit has discovered its new power of reason and mind. Now it wants to discover and now it wants to establish its kingdom on the mental level. But according to Max Steiner, spirit is not yet perfect because spirit is still living an abstraction. Spirit is still living outside of itself. First, it lived in objects, now it is living in concepts. The spirit is not yet perfect. It is not rich enough. It is not virile enough. It is not powerful enough yet on the level of intellect. The spirit seeks its own completion. It seeks its own wholeness, Purnata in Sanskrit. In order to become complete and whole and beautiful, if he continues his journey going into the depth of existence, the youth finally enters into the stage of becoming a man. According to Max Steiner, a man is distinguished from youth in one way importantly. A man doesn't try to fashion the world according to his ideology. A man accepts the world as it is. A man understands that one must deal with the world according to his interest, not according to his ideals. Ideas which used to fascinate youth now suddenly become useless. Because behind every idea, a man finds spirit, his own spirit, still, motionless, silent. Just like youth found his mind behind all objects when he was a kid, now man finds himself, his own self, his spirit lying behind every thought. For the first time, man finds he is all in his own subjective reality. He finds out he lives in a dream and all these objects and thoughts are nothing but ghosts living inside of him. Spooks, as Max Steiner says. Nothing but spooks. Spooks to get rid of. The kid occupies itself with objects. The youth occupies itself with ideas. But the man occupies himself with his self. He doesn't need anything external, nor objects nor thought. Kids have objective interests. Youth have intellectual interests. Man, on the other hand, has self-interest. He is only interested in himself and nothing else. Just like the kid threw away his object when he find out he has mind. In the same way, a man throws away his mind because he finds out that he has his spirit. For youth, objects become externalities to be gotten rid of, nuisance externalities. For man, mind itself become a nuisance, an externality to be used or discarded. Nothing more, nothing less. Ideas are no longer sacred for man. Ideas are there to be used or to be discarded. Ideas themselves become externalities just like objects. According to Max Turner, the child was living outside of himself in the world of object. The youth was living outside of himself as the world of mental concepts. First time when man finds his real self as spirit finally lives in his body. Finally he falls in love with his own flesh and blood and bones. But now this body is no longer physical or intellectual. Now this body is thoroughly and totally phenomenological. Now man, for the first time, sees his body not as an object, not as an idea, but as a phenomenon, as an occurrence in existence, as existence itself. Not an object inside of his dream, but the dream and the dreamer. According to Max Turner, child was realistic. Youth was idealistic. While the man who is only interested in himself is egoistic. You know the name of the book, Ego and its own. The man only care about his own ownness. Atma in Sanskrit only doesn't mean spirit. It only means ownness, yourness, I-ness. And the man only concerns himself about his own ownness. That man becomes egoistic. From realistic to idealistic to egoistic. Ascent of human spirit. This was a little excerpt from the book Ego and its own. Now we will talk about Max Turner's thought in general. As you can see, Max Turner betrays thoughts. He is the children of thought, thoughts which are generated inside society, which are product of society. He himself is product of very advanced society, which was Germany before World War II. And now he is the ungrateful children. He is the ungrateful child of society who betrays his own thought and he becomes dangerous, a barbarian, because he don't want to engage in reason, just like the barbarians which were there before the society. Only difference is that those barbarians were natural and prehistoric, while this barbarian is the product of society. He is supernatural and post-historic. He does this intoxicating self-cancellation of thought. He uses thoughts to destroy thoughts. Assuming in the first place that your thoughts has already destroyed objects. He is super-civilized and uncivilized simultaneously. In Sanskrit, we refer to samsara as prapancha. Prapancha is mainly made out of 5 elements. You see these 5 elements, and the circus created by these 5 elements is also known as Pancha Mahabhuta. Bhuta in Sanskrit literally means a ghost. You see, if I relate the Sanskrit word Panch Mahabhuta with Steiner's philosophy of ghost, he believes that everything is a spook. And we are enchanted by these ghosts. I mean, Steiner doesn't use this word Panch Mahabhuta, but what I'm saying is, this Bhuta is ghost. And according to Steiner, we are all enchanted by objects and ideas. And he wants to cast this spell which can destroy all other spells of enchantment. A pure, disenchanted soul, still, silent, like a living black hole, destroying everything coming in his way. Max Turner has this aesthetic arrogance. He is very provocative. His writing doesn't beg to be accepted. His writing actually judges you. Max Turner didn't believe in any sacredness outside of himself. He didn't believe in any conceptual ideas as class system. He openly identifies himself as nothing, a creative nothing, outside of every class. But since he is a selfish man, a through and through egoist, he can enter and come out of every class system according to his own self-interest. A shape-shifting chameleon which can enter and get out of any class system he wants to. According to Karl Marx, he is even worse than bourgeoisie. because he has no accountability towards society. Since Karl Marx wants to bind everyone under the umbrella of ideology, someone like Max Turner, for him, he's an anarchist, a dangerous man who is thoroughly, through and through, selfish, without any apology. You know, in Hindi they say, Andar se Aghori, Bahar se Vaishnav. He can take all identity and himself is nothing but a creative nothing. It's very interesting that someone like Max Turner can only be emerged out of the society, out of the culture of the metropolitan cities. He is the product of our cities. He is disenchanted, disillusioned from society. But for that, you must live and thoroughly experience the all cunningness and the shrewdness of society itself. That's why I call him artificial barbarian. Because he is the product of society. Without society, he cannot exist. He betrays the very ladder which he has used to climb above society, the society itself. And he has no remorse about it. Someone like Max Turner is disillusioned and disenchanted by all the external purposes. Now his only purpose is his own self. And since he owns his self, since he is the owner of his own ownness, and he sees everything as himself, he has no purpose. His purpose is himself. And since he has gotten rid of all the purposes, he makes fun and laughs at all the external purposes behind which man dreads his life every day. As I told you, Max Turner is a very provocative and dangerous thinker. Maybe you don't agree with his thinking. Maybe you do. But you must read this. But you must read and know about this artificial barbarian living outside of society. I see him as someone like Buddha gone rogue. If you are interested, you can read his book, Ego on Its Own, or Unique in Its Property. Indeed, he was unique.